Okay.
Was that, can you check the link I just pasted in there? Was that the same link as the one I sent you previously? Does it look the same?
No.
Was that, can you check the link I just pasted in there? Was that the same link? Oh, I gotta mute that.
No, it's not the same.
Okay. So we are live. We got 6 watching now.
Okay.
What's up, folks? How's everybody doing? Just trying to sort this out. This is my first time, guys, live streaming from Zoom to YouTube. Usually I use another program called Riverside, so it's uh it's a little finicky, but it seems to be working. So I do have my YouTube window open. YouTube is muted, so I can at least see chat.
Okay. It's not working for me.
You might have to just go to my channel and then,
Okay.
so hang on,
Go
go to
channel, go
live.
to live. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's one that says upcoming and then the one that's live.
yeah. So I had to change that link. So I'll just have to share this now in the Facebook group. What's up, Carla?
Yeah. Yeah, there's
you guys doing?
Well, just sorting out this Zoom streaming thing. Never streamed from Zoom to YouTube yet, so this is a new one for me. Usually I use Riverside, and it's much easier.
Hmm.
Got a couple people in the chat on YouTube. So I'm going to paste the YouTube chat for you to, or the YouTube link in here, and then I'll just ask you, you can click on it, run it, and and then pay attention to the chat in there for questions. I'll just ask you to mute the YouTube live stream. And then I need to now,
Are you only streaming here on YouTube or is it Facebook as well?
only YouTube. Facebook wouldn't let me.
Okay, that's fine. I just need to know what I need to watch.
And then got 12 watching now. All right. What's up, folks? Drop a hello in the chat if you can hear us and see us okay. Please and thanks. We're up to 14. Hello, hello. Good. Okay, that's working. Unfortunately, I had to create a new link, so hopefully we'll still get a decent turnout. I hope too many people aren't just waiting on the old link that I had. Lesson learned, stick to Riverside. Much easier.
Hi, everyone.
Yes, all good. Thank you. Awesome. Okay. Ah, Val Walters. Haven't seen that name in a while. Antonia, Finally joining alive. Okay, missed out on so many. Well, glad to have you here. Saturday's work for you, it looks like. So maybe we can make a mental note of that at least.
Yep, I got it.
So this is pretty much going to be a ask me anything.
Val.
Pretty much anything you want to ask, feel free. Sheila and Carla are two of our wonderful admins and mods in the Inner Circle Facebook membership or Inner Circle coaching membership, sorry. And they've got some own prowess of their own, to flex here. So if you have any questions on Pinterest, Sheila is your person. If you have any questions on ads or different takes on, accruing data and stuff and making database decisions, Carla is your lady. And of course, you've got me for pretty much everything else, ending up to and including some of what these two ladies are great at. So feel free to fire away with your questions. But ladies, how are you today? How's Sheila? How's Carla? All good?
Doing good. Nice to see you, Val. It's been a long time. Yep. Way
Good
back
over here.
from Challenge.
Nice. Been watching your videos, love them. Thanks, Val. That's awesome. Super validating to be able to, do things to help people in a certain way that is ultimately free content for you guys, and then have people, just kind of let me know that they're digging it, right? Kind of nice. It's funny because with all the there's a testament to the mindset thing that you guys know that I'm kind of big on, with resilience specifically, because it's like every time I post a video, there's somebody within like the first 10 minutes that dislikes it. And it doesn't show on the page, so you only see like the accumulated likes, like public facing, but in the back end I can see how many thumbs downs we get, and there's somebody who's like a serial thumbs downer who absolutely has a hate on for me, which is it's mind-blowing that they've set notifications to come in and throw shade, right? Like, so they get alerted and within 10 minutes every time, and no joke, yeah, I get a thumbs down. Like, wow, that is some dedication. So congratulations, whoever you are, because you are one of the most resilient people I've ever met or not met. It's been a year. It's been a year solid, and it's like one person. So like that's a pretty, you're pretty resilient. It'd be amazing what you could accomplish if you put it to something positive, right?
Yeah.
Kind of
Hope you're
nuts.
killing it in your POD business. You got time to
Yeah,
do stuff like that.
that's pretty funny. Yeah, just unhappy
So
people is what it is.
we've got our first question.
Awesome.
Okay, Denise asks, what tees and sweatshirts are best for POD on Etsy?
This is something you're probably going to hear a lot out of me. It's going to be depends, and it's going to be depends on who your ideal customer is and what niche you're in and who you're targeting, right? Like we talk about different, like if you were doing a workout niche, for example, the ideal customer in that niche, it goes a little bit deeper than that, is if you're targeting somebody who's 20 years old, you're going to make designs and have a different kind of method for targeting that customer than who might be trying to just drop a few pounds, get a little more ripped, look a little better for social media potentially. Like it's um you'd market to that person a lot differently than you would somebody who's maybe 40 and wanting to get back into shape because they can feel, that time has taken a toll potentially through COVID and stuff like that, or somebody who's 60 or 70 who is trying to maintain a level of health or get back into some kind of, level where they're comfortable with their health. So you can't just even just start by saying like, yeah, I'm, just the workout niche, right? It's not that simple. You're clearly, those are three very different ideal customers within that niche. That said, if you're talking tees and sweatshirts for POD, it really is going to depend on, who you're targeting. I know, being in the 40 something demographic, I don't love the Under Armour type shirts that are the polyester and the moisture wicking stuff. It's just not my cup of tea. I prefer a cotton t-shirt. The younger crowd who would be more actively working out, they weren't really a thing for us back then. It was all cotton, unless you're wearing like an actual jersey mesh. Um, they might prefer, a polyester tee where you'd be doing like some kind of sublimation or an all over print. So it's going to completely vary on, depending on who you're targeting. Some customers prefer the Bell & Canvas 3001 because it's thinner, lighter, a little more form-fitting. I prefer the Gildan 64,000. It's a boxier fit, but it is nice and soft. And some people, depending on, like the best-selling t-shirt on the planet, as far as I'm aware anyway, has been and continues to be the Gildan 5000. It's the most robust, it holds the print the best, and it'll last the longest. But that's not to say that it's the most comfortable by any means. It's also one of the most cost effective, best bang for buck out there. Sweatshirt seems to be the Gildan 18,000 for comfort and wearability and bang for buck, the most economical. The new one on the scene that has been making a little bit of waves has been the Comfort Colors kind of. It's a thinner. I don't have one here. It's a thinner crew neck that seems to have just gotten more sellers on board with it. It's a thinner crew neck. People seem to love that vintage look and feel of the Comfort Colors, and it's a little lighter feeling, but it's also pricier. So it's again going to depend on, the allergies, the style of design and who you're targeting. So I hope that makes sense. There's no like real one answer fits all. And do you two have any input on that? I don't Sheila, with where you're selling, are you selling any t-shirts or anything? Not yet, right?
No, I was just going to mention Comfort Colors is popular.
Yeah. And I know Carla was dabbling in the POD, but you're still doing mostly digital, right?
I do digital, but my print on demand is mostly like notebooks and stationery. And
Yeah.
I only do the t-shirts by request.
Got to listen to those customers, right? Who are you to say no when it's so easy and you don't have to buy, a box of 100? That's the beauty with print on demand.
So Val says, nice to see you're doing well and enjoying Belize. And
Thank you very much. Yeah.
we've got a question here. What are your ads strategy for merch by Amazon?
Oh, good question. So I kind of actually had in my Inner Circle membership group, not even 2 days ago now,
Yep.
Thursday, we had a whole 1 hour call on just ad strategy session there. So the surface level stuff for me on that is I don't do like big lottery campaigns. I didn't even know what a lottery campaign was. I think people put too much emphasis on like, you know, micromanaging those things. You do have to stay on top of it because you can blow budget. But in a campaign, for example, my limit would be 10 ASINs in there, which is for those who don't know, it's an acronym that just basically means your design, your actual listing. So I would have no more than 10 t-shirt listings, for example, in that campaign. And that's because Amazon can allocate your budget kind of in a way that Etsy does. At least with Amazon, you can create an individual listing and then an individual campaign and then set the click like you used to be able to do on Etsy. But Etsy now will just allocate your budget across all the products you select. So in a campaign, if you have more than, it kind of functions like an Etsy ad that way. If you have a campaign and you have 10 items in it, at least you're not going to have 20 or 30 items in it that get zero traction if that one listing takes off and all your budget is allocated to it, right? So that would be, the ground zero of that would pretty much be like I wouldn't do more than 10 listings in a campaign, and I would at least keep it niched, and I would start the bids low just to make sure that you don't blow through that budget because it's very very easy to go way over budget, and definitely do not go by Amazon suggestions for budget. Some of those, click budget bids suggestions were like $1.20
Mhm.
to two and change per click, because I am in very competitive niches. So very broad, very big, right? So yeah, the bid amounts that you would have on a click there would be through the roof. So if you had like a normal day, $100 budget, and typically you wouldn't burn through more than $15 worth of that budget just because the clicks are set low. If you were to, you got 10 clicks at 25 cents, you're looking at $2.50 versus if you had 10 clicks at, $2 by their suggestion, you're blowing through 20 bucks already, right? Which is kind of nuts. So I've lost a lot of money in the beginning. So I'm telling you what has worked for me as a result of pivoting that way. It's very easy to burn through dough.
Yep.
Hope that helps.
Val says, I saw something recently that people are doing more multi-item listings and doing well. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I like it if it makes sense for the design, right? So ideally typically in a good multi-listing item, it's the same design. Uh, Unless you're doing like group listings, but like you can have like a singular list design, and then have like t-shirt, sweatshirt, hoodie, youth or junior shirts, and then maybe a baby onesie or whatever, right? I do that. I have done that in the past. I limit it now to basically in one of my bigger niche shops. I limit it to like what I know my customer's going to wear. So it's the a short sleeve t-shirt, a long sleeve t-shirt, a crew neck, and a hoodie, and that's it. Just because I know that adding any of the other, A, I'm not targeting children. B, I'm, making designs that people will wear on long sleeve stuff, and I'm part of my ideal customers kind of target audience. So I do go with a little bit of my gut and what I feel that I would wear, and it's panned out that way. It's very easy to do. I would not try to do these crazy pushing from your POD with all these SKUs and everything. You can just add the variations in Etsy. So you have t-shirt small, like TEE space small, TEE space medium, large, so forth. Just paste and then change the letter. And then long sleeve T or long sleeve small, medium, large, and sweatshirt. And you can just add those in your variations in Etsy. Super easy. When the order comes in, then you can connect it on the back end in Printify or whatever POD you're using. No need to go through all that work in the beginning when you still have to go into Etsy and change the tags, change the listing photos, adjust the listing photos, zoom in on them to make sure that you're presenting that package, properly. Yeah, totally up to you, but I find that pushing is just way more work unnecessarily. So when you have to do all that tweaking in Etsy anyway. Hope that helps.
Okay. Denise says, thank you so much. That was so perfect.
Good.
I am looking at the comfort colors due to my outdoor niche. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice light sweatshirt if you're looking at the sweatshirt. It's kind of cool feeling. I like the feel of their shirts. It's thicker like the shirts that I like. I just don't have I've got two of them, but I don't have much more than that because the only ones I can get here in Belize on Keycock are like in the tourist shops. So they're like 40 US dollars a pop with like a little print on it. And I'm like, I know in my head that I can go get one printed somewhere and send it to, my mom or my sister's place and then go visit and pick it up, right? So I kind of have that mental block. But most people are spending, $40 on a t-shirt, no problem all day for the comfort color. So there is that also.
Okay. And next question is, what do you suggest for Q4 focus on Christmas and Halloween design, or create more evergreen designs that sell all year since you can get them to sell a new design easily while in Q4? Um, that is on merch.
Yeah, so this applies to Etsy and merch for me. I don't do Christmas or Halloween. There's I've found some trends that are going right now that are not necessarily costume shirts, for example. Like if it was like a print of a tuxedo shirt underneath that you could wear as part of your costume, or a rib cage, to if you were a zombie with a a dead groom zombie or something, and you had a sport coat going over top of this ribcage type thing. So the bulk of the stuff that was flying off the shelves for me in the past for Halloween was costume related or costume based. The problem with that is that people would, and not so much on Etsy because I don't accept returns, unless of course it was something that I did wrong, and then I would just ship them a new one anyway. But on Amazon, people were just renting the shirts ultimately, so they would buy the shirt, use it for the occasion, and then return it. And there's no way to stop that with Amazon merch. So I don't do that at all. The only time I'll infuse something like Halloween or Christmas is if it makes sense for one of the niches I'm in, kind of like a crossover there where I have, a target market that is already looking for more of that. And then if they happen to find a Christmas one that is still within the, you know, cross niche with tacos or one of the bigger niches I'm in or cats or the big dogs, then it would make sense. But I wouldn't go all in on Christmas or Halloween. You're a little you could still get away with it on Amazon merch since there is Prime, but I was gonna say you're a little late, but you got a bit of time there. The only thing that I would say is if you're in the really low niches like tier 10 or tier 25, the Halloween and Christmas, the trends are a good way to kind of get the sales in to tier up. But the caveat there is a come January, if you haven't tiered up yet, and we all know that Amazon doesn't let us know when they're going to tier up. It could be 2 weeks, it could be 2 months, right? It could be 3 months, 4 months. It could be well into 2025. If you haven't tiered up and all you have is Christmas and Halloween designs, it would suck that if you had sold those, you hadn't tiered up because now you're selling nothing in the new year. But it would also suck to have to remove those so to upload new designs because those will be the ones that sell again next year. So, you got to weigh your odds there and be willing to sacrifice some potential good sellers for next year in order to get the sales in the door. If you're going to try that. But if you're anything from like tier 500 up, I wouldn't bother with stuff like that. People buy evergreen all year round and they buy just 30, 40, 50% more of it in Q4. So that's where I always focus.
Okay. Amy Willard's
Mhm.
here.
What's up,
He
Amy?
said, I love comfort colors. I have a couple. I like the Gildan 5000 because it's heavier and it seems like it gives more value besides being low price.
Mhm.
And then a question from Christopher. In your experience with t-shirts and sweatshirts, what is the best printing method for durability and experiences with returns? DTG, DTF, or sublimation? Any opinions?
So sublimation, we'll work backwards here. Sublimation is it's a gaseous transfer. It's a chemical reaction that happens with certain inks at certain temperatures on polyester because you cannot print DTG on polyester. There you can do DTF. So for those who don't know, DTG is direct to garment, and that's literally what the bulk of POD is, and it's literally like a desktop printer, but instead of printing on paper in your office, it's printing on a fabric, so like a shirt or a t-shirt or a tote bag or what have you. DTF is direct to film. So instead of printing on a shirt, same process, but it prints on a film on a piece of paper or transfer paper. And then that film is then applied on a shirt and heat pressed onto it. So those tend to last longer for sure, but they also have a feel to it where you can, it's like almost like plasticky, right? You can kind of like, you scratch it, it's like, when you were walking really fast in snow pants as a kid, you can hear that, or like kind of like corduroy rubbing. It's kind of like that, right? It's a plasticky feel. It's more shiny. Um, and on a hot day, it could just, I don't know, to me, I don't like the feel of it, even though it's ultra thin and it will outlast. So there is, compromise there. Sublimation, you won't feel. It's again, it's pulling out inks, it's dyeing fabrics or the polyester, you won't feel it, but that's also only good for sublimation. So you're not going to be doing that on cotton. So it depends on A, what you're selling, B, who your target audience is, and C, the cost, because DTF and sublimation have been known to run a little more. If you're doing it yourself, you can order, for example, 15 or 20 or 100 DTF transfers and they only take up this much shelf space, right? Or maybe like this much. So you could have them on a shelf, like 10 different designs, 100 each, and you're not really taking up a lot of space in your house. If you just wanted to get a heat press and print your own, it's an easy way to get on the market. The flip side of that coin is you're committing to inventory, which direct to garment, you wouldn't necessarily have to, right? So there is that. Otherwise, direct to garment probably will last the least longest out of all of them, and that's because it's printed on the shirt and not pressed into or like in a permanent way that the direct to film is, or the sublimation how it's like in the garment. But that said, I have some shirts that we printed ourselves that I'm looking at now that actually have lasted 5 years and counting. They have faded a bit, but they're not cracking. More of the emphasis now in the last 2 to 3 years, especially since COVID, has been on the quality production as opposed to, or sorry, quantity and production as opposed to the caliber or the quality of the print. So I would argue that you're probably looking at 1 year of life on a t-shirt in good shape if you're washing it inside out, cold water, no hot dryer. Maybe 2 years if you're lucky, but a lot of the printers now, you're just not, but that said, if you sell it as stuff that people would buy as gifts for other people, you'll never have any issues with it from a customer perspective because they're gifted to somebody. So the person who bought it usually won't hear anything negative from the person who they gave it to because it's rude, and for the most part. And then, yeah, the person who is the giftee might wear it once or twice. If they love it, then they'll wear it, still won't complain about it. They'll wear it a lot, which is great. If they don't love it, they'll never wear it and it'll always look pristine and they'll never know. So they'll never know how fast it will, deteriorate. So, long-winded answer there, but completely different in terms of like returns or anything like that. Non-issue really if you don't offer them unless you're at fault for whatever reason. And yes, if it's a POD issue, you as a business owner need to take that on. In terms of sweatshirts, again, I think the Gildan 18,000 has traditionally been the go-to. It holds a print. There is a poly content, so it isn't probably amazing. I think the comfort colors should, just looking at their makeup, should print well and hold that print for a while. To be determined, though. I haven't printed or had sold enough of those. I don't list them yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Val says, okay, awesome, thanks.
Oh, sorry, allergy.
Judy has a question. In case I
Sure.
missed it previously in another video or live, questions about Etsy. What are your thoughts on adding a video to each listing? How about alternative text, adding it to the thumbnail, first pick only, or add it to all?
Good question. So the alternative text is for people who are visually impaired, right? It's a descriptive text, ultimately. So it's basically like you don't want to tag it like you normally would. You want to more describe the image. So it's going to be like, if it's, I don't know, big dog shirt, you would say like a brindle Great Dane, in a scenery with trees in the background, and be very descriptive so they can visualize what that design is, as opposed to targeting like birthday gift for Great Dane lovers or something more to that generic effect, right? So try to the easiest way I can think of to explain it would be to like look at your design and then close your eyes and then try to describe that design to somebody, and that I think would kind of put you level the playing field a little bit. And then in terms of videos, you could do I don't do a video per design. I'll list one on all of them, but I've made like a generic video that shows us printing 2 or 3 different prints, and then I've applied that to all the listing. You could also get stock imagery and stuff, or take pictures of your process. Place it's a good one for video too. but it's an opportunity to kind of showcase your process too, and not just how the print looks on the garment. They're going to cycle through a photo or two anyway, and ideally you'll have your different color variants linked to your photo. So when they pick red, it'll show on the red shirt or whatever it is. If they pick, black, it'll show on the black. So they'll be able to actually visually see and differentiate at least through the colors. But with the video in that listing, I would, you can make a slideshow kind of video in Canva pretty easily now. Place it is kind of cool for showing, designs on a shirt, but you can kind of in place it, they have a video builder, and you can bring that into Canva too, and add a couple of different designs in there. The goal for me would be to make something a little more generic, showing the process, so showing maybe a couple of designs in there, so that you can apply it to all your listings and just like duplicate a listing, and then the video is already attached, and you're only swapping out the listing photos and a few tags, assuming you're niched. Yeah.
All right. Judy has another question. Also in Etsy, when creating a size chart to include in listing photos, should we include the size tolerance of plus or minus 1.5 inches?
I would do that in a size chart, but I wouldn't make it, big and bold out there. And this is like because you don't want to introduce any friction. And this is something I tell people too when they say, Christmas deadlines and stuff like that. Don't put it in your banner nice and big. Why would you want to tell people that or introduce the thought that they wouldn't be able to maybe buy something from your shop because it might not get there in time? Like, why would you plant those seeds of doubt for anything, right? It's just telling people, please don't buy from me in the busiest 3 weeks before Christmas. That's what you're telling people effectively. So I don't introduce, friction that way. There's no need. If people ask you questions, if I order this, then just have a snippet, one of those quick replies now they're called them. They used to be called snippets, where you can just click on it and have that answer blurb filled out. While it should get there in time, we just can't guarantee it because our guarantee date has elapsed, or have one that says, and also have one that says in your bank there that absolutely should be no problem, provided the shipping company does their part and we don't, run into inclement weather or things to that effect, right? You want to absolve yourself, but also kind of instill some kind of confidence. So put it in your, the listing chart if you want, but I wouldn't make it, with an asterisk at the bottom or something. I wouldn't make it like, a big deal about it or anything like that.
And
Yeah.
I think Liza Luma is saying, hey, Jay.
Hey, Liza, how's it going? Long time no see or no here.
And Denise has a question. When using mock-ups, what is the best way to present the main image on Etsy, as in the color of the shirt, and should it be super close up or lifestyle or flat?
The only, I think, right answer here is you want it to be as visually appealing to the customer so that they know what they're getting when they see it immediately. If the keywords and the title, the first chunk of that title in search results aren't hitting the mark, you want that design to be no question. At least the readability has to be there, right? They have to know whether or not they're going to like it without clicking on it, because if they click on it and don't add to cart, there goes the conversion rate over time, and you're basically effectively telling Etsy to stop showing your stuff in search results for those terms. Worse, again, if you are advertising that, right? So if it's a big, if you have a lot of information, I would zoom in on it. You want to make sure that the product that the design is on is still kind of, you can still tell what, if it's a shirt, if it's a sweater, if it's a hoodie, you still want the customer to know what they're looking at, but at the same time, they need to be able to see the design and what it says, and be able to make that out. So it's going to be a little bit of a combination. For me, the main image has worked in my 2 niches out of 3 that are doing the best for me. The lifestyle has done the best for the first image, but this is going to be something you're going to need to A/B test for sure, depending on your niche. But for me, it's been the lifestyle image on the first one, but it's been mostly straight on. Again, very clear and easy to digest. You want them to know and recognize immediately. And then I've got flat lays, 2 or 3 flat lays in the listing for showing or illustrating what it would look like on 2 or 3 different colors, especially the heathers and stuff like that that I use. So you can have a close up on, a part of the design. And it also stops people from being able to steal your design if you just have a flat lay zoomed in, right? It's pretty easy to kind of, people steal designs all the time. So I'll show like part of the design on a heather close up so they can tell that there's that tri-blend in the garment itself. You want to ultimately illustrate everything to the best of your ability to the customer. And then the one niche seems to do better with flat lays up front, but I also only sell the Bella and Canvas 3001 in it, and it's a niche shop. So if they've clicked on one listing, they know it's a t-shirt, and then it's just zoomed in on the design and it works for that particular niche, that particular customer. How does it work for you with your journals, Carla? Same idea?
Absolutely. And I think everything is always subject to test. So
Mhm.
I always do at least one duplicate with another thumbnail, and I immediately put them on ads so that I can get that visibility just faster and gather the data faster, just for time's sake. And then I see, which one outperforms the other. So then I know for my following listing, which one I can just go with off the bat. So I always just kind of let the data lead me.
Smart. Yeah.
Mhm.
And how does that, are you able to control that with on the platform you're selling on, Sheila? Like zooming in on,
Yeah. You do
nice.
cover.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's see here. 100% Living says, thank you, Jay, for the recent Kittle techniques. They're really helpful. Been using them. Awesome.
Awesome. Yeah. Got lots more design tips and tricks coming up that you guys on YouTube are only getting a taste, right? We're doing lots more of that stuff in the inner circle.
Mhm.
And it's kind of a no-brainer at $37. So yeah, hopefully we'll get some of you guys to join that wait list if you haven't already. We are reopening in 5 days, September 19th, and seats will be limited. And I gotta say this, like urgency and scarcity are absolute drivers on Etsy, but I'm not doing this to sell seats. I'm doing this because I don't want to have to orient anybody and go through teaching people how to use the platform, or having Sheila and Carla and myself be inundated with, where do I find this, how do I do this, how do I make this work in the middle of Q4, right? I want, by the end of September you should know where everything is, and we should be, nose to the grindstone. So that's kind of why I'm cutting off the seats available. I just don't want to have to go through explaining and teaching everything when in a time where we need to be, working and focused. So
Yep.
yeah.
So we'll drop a link here to get on the wait list if you are interested. And if you have any questions about the membership, feel free to drop those as well.
Yeah, I'm going to drop that link right now because you guys can at least peruse it.
Mhm.
And you can ask questions about it. If YouTube lets me drop the link, we'll see. Hey, it did. Sweet, because I'm the
Oh, there you
host.
go.
Okay, great. So you can check it out in there and scroll to the bottom, and you'll get the testimonials there, right? Like they're screenshots, so I didn't, write them or fudge them. I always wonder when I see that. I'm not accusing anybody, but I always wonder when I see that, well, like, when they all look the same, it's with somebody's little face and then a name and then a couple of stars, like the 5 stars underneath, and then a little blurb. If they all look generic, like anybody could really write those, right? So I'm not saying that that's what people do, but I always wonder. Yeah, well, skeptic.
Okay. Val says, with the new updates on Etsy, was your impression that we could use any that we could not use any AI generated mockups? I
For the
have,
first, sorry, is there
you
more?
can go ahead.
I was gonna say, for the main image, you cannot. That's like the cold, hard, fast rule.
I have found it hard to find some mockups with actual product that didn't look like a AI generated person.
Yeah, you should be able to find mock-ups on like the Creative Fabricas, the Placits. Those are actual photographs that you can just drop your design on, right? Ultimately, some flat lays might be, or some lifestyle mock-ups might do the trick for you by way of a Placeit or something where it looks, you know, where there's a little bit of the how it kind of would work with the curvature of the body or the wrinkle in a shirt, but you don't want to make it too wrinkly that it's hard to make out the design. You want it to be clear and visible. But yeah, stay away from AI for the main image. Absolutely. That's a big hard no, apparent according to what I took from what Etsy has said.
Yeah, Canva's been adding some mock-ups too, so
And it's, with AI, I don't think you're going to get into that in Carla's instance, if you're doing like journals or notebooks and stuff like that. I don't think you're going to have to deal with, AI generated, because it's mostly been lifestyle pictures that people are doing, right? It's shirts on people that I think are the big AI ones.
Okay. Gifts from Their Hearts says, I'm about a year into my POD journey. Your content has been helpful and motivating. Thank you. What main advice do you have for those newer to POD?
Oh man, you might have to come back for the replay, because if you haven't taken a pee break, it's still going to be a long answer. I'll try to keep it short. Honestly, you're a year in. If you're spinning your wheels, you're doing too many of the wrong things, probably. So try to pick a niche. People on YouTube will tell you, niche down or really, really low competition or general store is good. The second thing would be pick one or two people on YouTube that you resonate with and follow them. It doesn't have to be me. I want you to find somebody that kind of you click with and you enjoy listening to. But think too about the general store idea is that the people that are serving you up the content in the POD space on YouTube about saying general stores work and they're great, they're also serving you very niche specific content, right? They're not also telling you how to manage your finances or how to renovate a house or do anything. You know what I mean? So like, why would it just seems almost hypocritical in a way. And it's not to say that general stores can't win. You're just going to need a lot of listings. You're going to have to treat each section in your shop like its own niche shop ultimately, which just screams to me burnout. You're going to have to stay on top of all the trends all the time. I think you're going to be working harder, not smarter. So the niche is number one. Picking one or two coaches that, or YouTubers or whatever it is, if it's blogs, whatever, that you resonate with, and do not try to implement some of the things from everybody into one big kind of, POD Bible. It's not going to work. It's going to be some crappy kind of scrapbook that is jammed together, and you'll end up in the same spot or worse where you are now. The third or fourth is going to be to uh, try to focus more on quality over quantity. With quantity does come getting better at the processes. You're going to get faster at all the elements. But if you're only getting faster at making crappy listings, then you're only ever going to be great at and fast and efficient at listing not so great listings. So I would get good at making quality listings. And that starts with quality designs, which then, working backwards is being able to identify your ideal customer, and then further out from that is the overarching niche, and then moving forward from that good design, then you're going to want to present that design in a way that makes sense for the ideal customer in that niche, and that is your mock-up, the color choices. Learn how to, if you're not going to take the time to learn any sort of graphic design at all, then outsource it. Don't skimp on the design element, because in POD, on Etsy especially, or anywhere in POD, it's the design that sells. You can have all the best SEO on the planet, but if your design looks like crap, people still aren't going to buy it. So prioritize, I would say, design over SEO, but you can make your decisions based on the data that comes along with SEO and stuff, like what people are searching for will dictate the volume. And then that's where I would go in and do the research on that customer, or who's buying and how many, and then make a design that makes sense for that based on some of those keywords. But I wouldn't just put all my eggs in the SEO basket and then hope to deliver on something that doesn't have any, supporting data behind it. Those are probably the big three or four, this is all, yeah. Yeah, that would be it. And then, just I want to see everybody put in the work, absolutely, but put in the right work. If you're, listing 300-400 designs, if you got over 200 designs and you're not making sales, like daily sales, then you need to stop, you need to revisit, and you need to do your research and figure out what's in demand. There's no way that when you get to 100 listings, you shouldn't be selling one or two at least a day. There's no way. So if you got 600 listings up, stop. Like, take a step back, go for a walk, clear your brain, and get back and be coachable. Solicit advice like you are, but heed it, right? Don't, again, this comes down to finding somebody you resonate with, because if you're going to take my advice and then go ask in another Facebook group the same question, and then if it conflicts, then you're going to be like, well, which is right? Or you're going to listen to the ones that get the most likes. I'm like, well, the people that are liking that stuff are also people who are in your situation. So you have to be careful who you're also getting the information from, right? Get it from people who are making sales, and get it from people who haven't only made sales in the past, but continue to sell, right? Because things change, the algorithms change, and you want to make sure that you're listening to somebody who's kind of active in the space as well. And yeah, that's something that you just see a lot in the groups. And then if you're going to, take the information with a grain of salt all the time, then you're kind of selling yourself short, because it's like trying to, sign up for a bunch of different memberships or coachings and then apply all of the things across everywhere. So roundabout way to say, do everything with consistency and laser focus, put the blinders on, get to work, listen to one person, apply the stuff, stick with it for a year, like that's probably, yeah, the shortest long answer I can give you.
If I could piggyback off of that one, Jay,
Please do.
I would just make sure also to know your numbers so that when you do sell and you do get that good practice that Jay's mentioning with, your design is everything, that you're priced for profitability. And a lot of times people don't know that. So I would just make sure you do your homework, understand that you're pricing for profitability. And so that way you can always succeed from the beginning, rather than some people are losing money off the bat, even though they do have good designs. So just make sure you know your numbers.
And can we just say, Carla, for those
Yeah.
who don't know, Carla and Sheila are admins and mods in my Inner Circle membership, and wonderful human beings. But Carla, can you tell us how much profit you were making in January versus 10 months in now?
Yes. So January, I turned my ads on right after putting some time and consistent effort into my shop for the first time. So I had it for a year, but I hadn't really consistently been in there for, more than 2 hours a day. So 2 hours a day in January consistently with turning on my ads and, knowing my numbers and calculating all that. I was starting at 1K profit in January, and I just doubled or tripled every month. So by 6 months in, I was at 10K profit, and then now up to 12K profit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not even a year in, right? So this is, pay attention, folks. It's being consistent, and Carla did this with 2 hours a day, Monday to Friday, right? I had asked you this before, but you didn't include weekends. So that was like family time.
Yeah, it was family time. I had to put a hard stop right at some point and be balanced. And that way, you can do everything. You can make time for everything if you can just focus that time so that your work time is actually work, right? Because the last thing you want to do is block out time to do work, and then you're not actually getting anything done. That drives you crazy. That makes you feel overwhelmed. That makes you not reach those goals. And that can lead you down that other path of just feeling disillusioned and like, why can't I win? I see all these other people doing amazing things, but why can't I get there? And it could just be lack of focus or meeting those wickets. So yeah, I turned off weekends for that time being, and still was
Yeah,
able
it's
to
it's
do
an
it.
interesting one. I think a lot of it too is just, shiny object syndrome is real. So putting on those blinders and getting to work, like blocking out the noise. That's what horse blinders are, right? They literally look like this, and they stop the horse from getting spooked, stop the horse from getting distracted, keep the horse looking forward. And that's what they are for. They're called blinders because they stop you from seeing outward. It's not just like going in blind or anything like that. I've seen people throw that around lately. I don't know why, but in ways that I think don't really apply, or like they've never seen a horse with blinders on or don't know what it means. But that's what it means. It's a blinder that keeps them looking, straight ahead. Um,
It's basically saying no to everything that's not your goal.
yeah,
that's what self-discipline is, just being able to say no. For these 2 hours, I'm saying no to everything else, and I'm just focused on what my task is. That's it.
Man, when you put it like that, it's so simple, but it's true. It is so simple. You know, those 2 hours is all you have. You got to make that count. And, you know, you cannot be saying, oh my gosh, look, now Amazon merch has tumblers, or, you know, Printify just added all these new products, or there's this, or this is hot. This is a hot trend. You know, this is not the time. Trends and fun and experimentation is great for the first three, like first quarter, first 3 months of the year, maybe 4 or 5 months, maybe even the first half. But you know, if you have 2 hours, stick to your MO, your modus operandi, and just focus. Like, yeah, it
Plan
is
for
that
that fun
simple.
time. I plan for that. I'll
Yeah.
do, like, at the end of the day, I'll do like a 30, 45 minutes of play time, right? Where I just design for fun things that I might want to sell in the future. Or maybe I'll make a list of all the things that, like, the shiny objects that I've discovered that I would like to do at some point. And then guess what? At the end of the day, my list goes away. And when I'm at that point where I can make my sales plan for the year and I plan out all the products I want to make, that's when I pull out my shiny object list and all those designs I started. And then I can plan to make those, so it's orderly.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's great.
One thing I noticed a lot is that some people are working really hard, but they're doing the wrong things. And so they keep repeating that, and then they're not making progress. And one thing that I really like, even though I am an admin in our membership, there are things that I really like about it too. And that is that we have homework, for some of the live calls that we do. And so after it's over, Jay has taught a lesson, and then we have homework where you can share that and people can, Jay will take a look, or other members will take a look and give you advice on your specific designs, your specific niche. And so I think that's really helpful to get away from just working randomly and not knowing what work is going to move the needle. And just to give you a very brief overview, you can take a look at the link that Jay dropped, but we do have 4, usually more, calls a month. We have some bonus calls like we did last Thursday, which was a merch ads call. And on the first week, we have graphic design training, where Jay will pick a topic that he thinks is important for everyone to know. We've done typography, we've done different design styles, some templates for shirts, and he teaches that at the beginning. And then after that, we have a hot seat session where you can submit your designs and Jay will take a look at them and give you suggestions. And that is gold. To have someone actually working and looking at your items really helps people out. And we've seen members, go ahead and put up the thing that has been changed around, and then it's selling now. So it's very helpful. Week 2, we do niche and design research, where members get to put in a niche, and Jay will pick a few of them and go over and do some research live so you can see how he does it. And then on week 3, we do another whole session of the hot seats so people can get design titles and takes feedback. And then we do just sort of like this type of a call and ask me anything, or we have special guests come in.
Oh, on that note, the first special guest for anybody joining on the 19th is going to be Anthony from eRank, who's the SEO and founder. So pretty exciting to have him on. We've worked in the past on and off for almost about 5 years now, different Etsy challenges and things like that I've run with some colleagues at the time. So that'll be an exciting one for sure too. And we'll have some exclusive deals, we'll just say,
Mhm.
for sure, coming up, that I'm not going to give you any details on that yet.
Yep.
Do you
So
want to add about the homework? Is that we've had members do the homework and then put that as a listing and have made sales, right? Because it's that tailored, you have a 20+ year graphic designer helping you with your design and SEO and title. I mean, you can't get that anywhere else. It's amazing. You go in, and I've seen members list it and they're like, I've already got sales. So it's such an amazing community. It really is.
Yes, and we love to celebrate the wins and help
Absolutely.
people. I mean, that's really what all three of us are very big into, making sure that everyone has what they need and, just being there to help people. That's awesome. So the community is super helpful. If you have any interest, check it out. And we'll go back to some questions now.
Sure. Yeah. I did want to touch on Armin's here because I don't get, this is a common one I hear all the time. I don't get it why niching down when at the end people that search for a shirt are seeing, normally one or two designs from your shirts based on, the search results, I assume. And then only a few percentage are checking your store. This is only true and another reason not to do a giant general shop or general store. I have a niche, I have three niche shops and one general store. General store was my first one. I would kind of like throwing stuff at the wall, just whatever I thought was clever. It still makes daily sales, but not nearly the volume. And there's like 700 or 800 listings in there. But then my four main shops, aside from that one, have less than 1,000 listings combined. They are all niched. Three of those four have less than 200 in each shop. And I have customers come back because they are niche looking for more stuff. I have a lot of repeat customers, and it's so much cheaper and easier to have a customer come back and buy more from your shop. That repeat customer is who you want. They will buy something for somebody else, and then they'll come back and look for more new things in the same vein to buy for other people. Think of it like in the terms of the big dog thing. They're going to the dog park. They're surrounding themselves with like-minded people who will see that and be like, where can I get this? You want them to remember your shop. Branding is crucial. The color palettes are crucial. Having a cohesive looking shop is crucial. Your target market, your ideal customer within that target market is crucial. And those are the things. It's so much more difficult and more expensive to nail that customer the first time. To get them to come back, they've already committed. They already like your brand. They already like the design. They're going to come back for more if you can continue to provide more niched opportunities for them to buy. So that's the answer there. I appreciate you hanging out and hearing that. Uh, but yeah, if it's a general store, I mean, they're looking, they might see one or two listings in that store that they like among pages of hundreds or even thousands of other listings. And it might be hard for them to even find more of what they like in your shop. So that's when I would argue that, that you are right in that sense, is when it's a general store with like a ton of crap that they don't want to look at ultimately. Uh, yeah. But yeah, the other thing that you know, Sheila and Carla touched on there was the community element inside the inner circle, because it gets lonely. You guys know this, right? That's why we're online. That's why we're doing these calls. That's why you have joined us. It can be like solopreneurship is completely different than running your own brick and mortar business where you have staff, where you have employees, where you have customer interaction, like faces. You can see smiles and frowns and grimaces and the good and the bad. With this solopreneurship, you're literally just one person and a computer, and it's just like it can be super, super lonely when you don't have a supportive community around you. And a lot of times our friends and family just won't get it. They won't understand what we're doing. You're going to tell them or want to talk to them about something, and they're just not going to get it. And a lot of the times, they're not going to be supportive at all because they just think it's some kind of hobby. Oh, you're selling. Oh, like my son and daughter was doing that with their cricket or their cricket, however you want to pronounce it, right? They're just, it's just a hobby. It's just a thing. So is it like scrapbooking, right, with your journals, Carla? Like, it's like one of those things. It's just not taken seriously. It took me forever to get around the idea and feel valid when people say, would ask like, what do you do? I'm like, well, I sell novelty t-shirts on Etsy and Amazon, and I would kind of like feel like I had to justify why I was doing it and what I was doing to make it sound more like a real business. Now I just tell people I sell funny t-shirts online, and I am good with that because, the questions would come back in the day like, well, but no, but like, what do you do for a living? I'm like, well, I sell t-shirts. I'm like, well, how do you pay the mortgage? I'm like, well, sell more t-shirts, right? Now it's just like, yeah, no, I sell novelty t-shirts online, and I just say it authentically, in a real way that just kind of hits, I think lands different. Lands different on them. I've got the confidence behind me saying that now, right? Like it's not, I don't care if you don't think that it's a worthwhile vocation, like I'm beyond that. I know it is. I have the confidence to know it is, and I have in that respect the confidence to hopefully instill the confidence in you guys to believe that you can do this, right? Like we just had one question in there and in our group that was a big one. Amy in our membership, she was asking like, I just asked ChatGPT, I guess, to basically what it would take for me to attain a certain level of income that she wanted to hit. And it was like this astronomical number, gonna need, 100K or six figures plus in sales. And it's like, but it sounds like such a daunting thing. But like Carla's doing that in 10 months, like in terms of overall revenue, right? Like, and then going from zero to that, I mean, it's totally doable. And we broke it down in terms of t-shirts, and you're looking at only just over 7.5 t-shirts sold a day. And there was a lot of steps to deconstruct that. But when you're looking at selling 7 shirts a day, it's such, an easier item, I guess, to tackle than it is when you just look at the big picture and you see this daunting six-figure number that you have to hit in order to be, it just seems like you're building this up so much in your head. And my whole goal is to try to break this down for you guys into bite-size enough chunks that you're not getting, you're not choking on the information. You're not feeling like you're drinking from a fire hose, if you've ever heard that analogy, right? You're drinking from a slow trickle that eventually you'll still get satiated and it'll still fill your cup. You know what I mean? But it's done in a way that you can handle, and you can tell when it's getting too heavy, and you can pause and, take a moment, right? And that's the other thing with this whole thing is like why it's $37 a month. I wanted it to be less than $10 a week. I wanted it to be affordable. I wanted it to be accessible. It's not, there's no upsells. There's no strings. You're not going to be sold into another element of a higher level or higher ticket coaching. You're not going to be sold into a package of mock-ups or anything like that, right? There's no upsells. It's just straight. It's, total black and white. No BS. Just kind of like how I want to run my life, Um, yeah, I just want to be authentic with as many people as possible and like let you know that you can do this. Yeah, I just had to get that out there. The community element is like super supportive in there. It's awesome. We're celebrating wins, but it's also a chance to vent and express your hardships or whatever hurdles or obstacles you feel like you're facing with other people who have been there or who are going through the exact same thing at the exact same time. So
Mhm.
I don't think there's anything better than that, really.
Yeah,
Also have the
it really is.
hangout. Oh,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
You go.
I was going to say we have the hangout too, which is really unique.
Mm.
A lot of communities do exist out there for different, platforms, Etsy platforms and things like that. Other, YouTubers or such have, but I don't think anywhere has a hangout or just basically a voice call. Whereas people are working throughout the day can jump on a call and just associate, can sit there and work quietly and just listen in, can ask questions. And so that's pretty exciting to be able to even get to know people that way as you work, bounce ideas off too.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to just have like a chat in the background. It's almost like a co-working space, right? Or it
Mm.
almost makes you feel like you're in that virtual office environment too, like where you'd have somebody at the next cubicle beside you or whatever, but it's you're wherever you need to be on the planet, but you can still have that same kind of camaraderie or friendship with the colleague kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point. What were you going to say, Sheila, too?
Nope, I was gonna say that we have another question.
Oh, okay.
Christina says, "Hi there, newbie here. I opened my Etsy shop 2 months ago. I think I have watched almost all of your videos during the last week. Amazing content, really helpful. Thank you." Oh, not a question, a nice comment. Thank you.
I've seen your name around as of late, Christina. So thank you for dropping the comments and sharing the love. Appreciate it.
Yep. Val says, agree with community. 3 of us are from the old Etsy group that still keep in touch on Zoom and support each other. Awesome. That makes a big difference.
Huge difference.
Great. Tina is saying, hi, Tina. It's the
Hey,
best
Tina.
group I've joined in. Jay is an amazing and thoughtful coach. Aw. And the team and community are very helpful. I highly recommend Jay's Inner Circle is truly a gem. Oh, how nice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tina. That's a great
Great to
testament.
hear it.
Again, folks, like I'm not going to over pitch this. I probably should. This is the whole kind of point of doing these things, but it's also look at the link I just dropped, scroll to the bottom. There's screenshots again of people's wins. And this is only like a 3 month new group, right? It's not these aren't like old wins. These are, you know, within the last quarter type thing. So check it out. Let that speak to you if the rest of it doesn't. But one piece of advice going back to the and then we'll have to call it quits here, but going back to the question of what would you say to newbies, I would say, you know what, if I had had the opportunity to get a coach in the beginning for kind of like this price and like something that wasn't going to break the bank for me, no brainer, it would have set me ahead so much more quickly. I didn't really have anybody. I mean, there's Juna out there for who was kind of doing the same thing I was doing, but he wasn't really coaching. um there wasn't anything like that. Other than that, there was nobody. There was no YouTubers, YouTubing, Etsy that were doing anything remotely close to POD back when I started print on demand, which is a little over 12 years now, which is before it was a household name, right? I didn't even know what it was called. It was legit printing on demand. I could have got to where I was so much faster if I had just had somebody kind of show me the ropes in a different way. That said, I did have a friend introduce me to Etsy, which we weren't friends at the time. It was a business relationship, but he ended up kind of explaining to me how it worked. And then I just had to figure things out on my own from thenceforth. So I'm super grateful to have been introduced to Etsy that way. But to have somebody say, do this instead of this, and here's why, that
Mhm.
I think was a piece that I wish I had had 10 years ago. No problem. That would have been amazing. Uh, but yeah.
Yep, so let's see. Thank
Any
you.
other Oh, sorry, I was gonna say any other final questions? We got maybe 2 more minutes and then we're gonna pull a plug here and let these lovely ladies get on with their day. And we got lots to do too on a Saturday.
Yep, I just mostly people are saying thank you. The positivity is great. Don't know Carla yet, but Jay and Sheila are amazing. Well, Val, so are you, and thank you so much. It's great to see
You
you
will get to
here.
know you'll get to know Carla. We did an interview about a week ago now. So the videos being edited, but we're gonna shed some light on Carla because I think she needs to be more people need to know who Carla is. She's
Yeah.
done well with Etsy and she's, done it in spite of what most people would consider unsurmountable setbacks. So,
Yep. And
yeah.
Carla is working on um, data and ads training for the inner circle. So we're all excited about that coming up. And I did Pinterest training in there and I'm just going to put out a video pretty soon on Pinterest trends. So if you guys are interested in any of that, you can come and hang out with us.
Yeah. Got rock stars. I wanna, spawn and foster a community of rock stars. I truly want this to be the biggest, baddest Etsy coaching and Amazon coaching membership on the planet. So, I mean, I'm committed to that. Talk about overshooting, right?
Yeah,
But
he's got big
yeah,
goals. And yeah,
yeah, lofty goals. I want to see as many people win as quickly and as possible.
and that is right. And that is true. That's why he does this, because he really, really cares and wants to see people win. Um, when we were talking about pricing and everything, he insisted that the price stay, low, very low, so that it
Oh
was
yeah.
accessible to everyone and beginners and anyone else could come in. And he wants to change people's lives. And I think that we can see that happening already. And it's a very neat thing to be a part of. So
Absolutely.
Uh,
Jay over delivers. When you
it's
think
true.
he's giving you enough, and then he over delivers again. So I
Thank
don't
you. I
think there's a
appreciate you
person
saying
in
that.
that group that wouldn't agree with that statement. I know people in the chat are in the group, and I'm sure they would all agree.
Yep. It's
I
true.
sincerely appreciate that. That's the one thing that drives me nuts is people, you see their sales pages and things and like I've had people come in, like we have members that have spent, I'm not going to mention names, but like $2,000, $3,000 for coaching, $10,000 for coaching, who have said they've, gleaned more bits of gold in the first 30 days inside my inner circle than they had in the previous 12 months with other people spending thousands of dollars. Like for you to spend 10K or 5K or 3K, it would take you years in my membership, literal years, right? So like you could not spend that money. And I don't want you to spend that money. I want you to spend that money, if anything, on design training, on, things that are gonna more practical elements that way.
Just
Not to say that we don't do that, but
oopsie.
sorry.
Sorry. Got just a quick question here. Is Inner Circle open if only selling on Etsy? Yep. You don't have to sell on both.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Yeah, I would say it's probably like 80% Etsy, 20% merch, but in terms of like the platform specific stuff, but the bulk of it is titles, like keywording your designs and designing for the niche. So that transcends platforms. You could be selling anywhere, Shopify, whatever, and you'll be able to glean something absolutely. And for the price, I mean, for less than $10 a week, it's kind of a no-brainer that way. Somebody had a question that I didn't hit. It was about
Yeah.
outdoors. Denise, is the outdoor niche a good niche, or is it best to niche down? I live in North Idaho and I'm trying to go with the Northwest outdoor theme, water sports, hunting, fishing. Love it. That's to me, don't sleep on the the lake house, the cottaging thing. Those are big passionate things. Those are, niches that depending on the weather, people go all in for that, right? People will buy in winter, like this is my campfire hoodie, things like that. I think that's great. I wouldn't pigeonhole yourself or sub niche, or niche down any further. That's broad enough and it's specific enough. You're not just saying literally everything outdoors. So you're not talking, about I don't know, skydiving, right? Like you're still there's still a focus there. It's not about every single sport. You're talking about, the woodsy slash cottage cabin feel, the water sports, the lake, all that stuff. I think that's a great one. And it sounds like you are your own potentially ideal customer, at least members in your family are. So you're going to know what's hot just by asking them, or being observant in your community and your surroundings when you're out there. So I think that's a great one. I think you can absolutely crush it as long as you're putting the research in to validate the demand for the niche, for the designs, for like what's selling, the certain color palettes, the design aesthetics, and then packaging it properly with the mock-up, right? And then of course keywording it properly. But yeah,
Yep. And there's just one more question. If we hit it, then
shoot.
we'll. Okay.
And then we're
Yep. Christopher says, is there a Facebook scheduler for posts? So I think most of the third-party schedulers are gone from Facebook now, but I'm not sure. I just use native scheduler in Facebook myself.
Yeah, you can schedule right in Facebook. So it
Mhm.
depends on what you want to do that way. But you can use different apps for anywhere outside of Facebook. So like Facebook has banned a lot of third-party apps. I was going to try to stream again in there, but it was being finicky with the Zoom, even though it says it's supposed to. Um, so yeah. But yeah, to Sheila's point, you can definitely still use their own, native scheduler in there.
Yeah, I've kind of found that they like that when you use their own things. So, and we'll end on this note. Antonia says, absolutely amazing group. I have been in since the beginning. So much help, and you always have a place to put your questions if you have doubts. Awesome. Yep, we have a question thread, and we have there's different channels for different things, but we're definitely open to questions all the time.
Oh yeah, thanks, Carla. And please do subscribe if you haven't already. Liking it allows YouTube, it tells YouTube that people like the stuff and that, there was a lot of helpful information here that I'm sure other people would want to learn or glean from. Um, but otherwise, subscribing means the world to me because it tells YouTube that you like my stuff enough to actually want to see more of it. So, yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you for shouting that one out, Carla. I always forget to say that. Thank
Figured
you
maybe
all
you
for
would.
tuning in. Sorry, Carla?
I was just saying, I figured maybe you would, so I dropped in the chat.
Yeah, you're awesome. Thank you, Sheila and Carla, for joining me today. Thank you guys for tuning in. We've had a steady, 30 or so. So that's been great. hopefully, we'll see some of you on the inside. Again, we're opening the doors in 5 days, September 19th. So get on the wait list, and the link that I dropped in there a couple times, I'll put it in there one more time. And then, yeah, you'll get an email or two once confirmed. And the main one of which will be the September 19th morning with your link to join. And seats will be limited because, again, I do not want to be orienting people or teaching people where to go. And like, Carla and Sheila do not, we want to be able to help you in your Q4 efforts, not in getting, used to where things are and that sort of thing. So I don't want to be doing any orientations when we need to be working hard. So that's it.
Yep, and we're not opening again until the new year.
Oh yeah, not
Just
at
to
least
let you
for a
know.
bunch of months,
This
not at
is
least
it.
till
So,
2025. That'll be it.
all
Yeah.
right. Great to have you join us. Nice to see all of you. Have an awesome day. Go do something amazing in your business.
Yeah, or at least help somebody else with theirs.
There you go.